just in general, against going and do it. Like, I guess I can talk more about this after the game's done. But if you generally, if you start losing, you're gonna keep losing. So if you start losing a couple of games, probably take a break, come back, you know, after a little bit, come back and see how you do. And then if you're still losing, I'd probably just like be done playing ranked on that. You know, you can play on another account, play quick play another role, but you know, you're probably just gonna keep losing SR if you just keep playing for 12 games and lose 12 games. So I'd
probably
set a limit on yourself, and usually it's gonna be good.
Okay, so
okay, I'll just be a minute or so while I'm looking for something to talk about.
alright. I thought I had a window. Oh, they have a window. Yeah.
Uh-oh. So, there we died probably primarily because you just didn't notice the soldier teals right on top of you, right? So a little bit of awareness of keeping your eyes and ears open, so you know the soldier's there and you don't let him just sneak up on top of you.
Yeah. But in games like this, what do I do against the widow? Should I just ignore her completely?
Yeah, I would, unless you're able to get in a range. You can maybe like try to fire off a helix at her to pressure her, but I would generally avoid her sight lines unless you're able to get close enough to get a kill on her. But if she's just a mile away, there's not much you can do. You could potentially pressure the soldier off high ground, if that's... Yeah, do something like that. Definitely just gets him off the flank, as well as you could potentially have taken the high ground as well from that angle.
Oh, I'm so lost right now, holy fuck.
I'll try to pay the favor. What's up? Let the Kishani guide you. I've got you in my sights.
That's a bad ult.
Yep, just gotta watch, make sure it's not like a tank in front of you, right? Plus, I think there weren't very many people there to shoot.
No,
so,
it wasn't.
But you got it. You understood.
That's better.
Okay.
Nah, sometimes I do stuff like that as well. I think I'm nervous now, so it's gonna be worse.
Yep. I gotcha. Maybe a few things. We'll kind of talk about a couple of things after the game's done as well. Very nice.
Oh shit, I went into that spot.
Oopsie.
They can't get away with this.
Holy fuck, bro.
Very nice.
feel like I'm like teleporting a little bit.
You lagging? I don't see it very
Yeah.
much. I don't see it a ton on my end.
It just feels like delayed.
Hmm.
We're moving up. Expect resistance. I've got you in my sights.
Good. Okay. So far, it looks like you have a really good grip on survivability. Your sprint usage is really good. Cover usage really good. Most of the time, like your heal usage is really good. We're gonna talk about helixes in between after the game's done. Talk about some mechanics stuff. We'll go over and some positioning as well.
Alright. I don't know.
As a general rule of thumb that you can be watching for this game is when you have space created for you, get a tad bit closer. I think a lot of times we're very far away from the fight.
Yeah. Oh shit, he's there. Oh, she's there.
Classic Soul Train.
Ah.
Oh, good movement.
Oh, that wasn't meant to place down. Fuck me. I feel like I'm just getting carried right now. So hard.
Fields online.
Let the Kitsune guide you.
Okay, watch that Singla. Instead of just kind of standing in front of his E, look for ways to get around him. Probably could have like jumped up on top of a cart to get around him. Additionally, like we probably could have just walked around him, but we kind of just like stood in front of him.
Yeah, I kinda. Yeah, I don't know what that was. Oh,
Okay, so like you said, you feel like you're being carried. Your gameplay
completely
looks,
lost.
Yeah, it looks like from my understanding here that you are really good at existing. That you that's would be like if I were to say like that's your specialty is like you are really good with your movement and your cover usage and staying for and you do stay far back generally, so you end up just like kind of being alive a lot. So you're not dying a ton. If you press tab at you, I think you probably have like some of the least deaths in the lobby, right? 3, and then everyone else, you have people at 5, 6, 7, and so you have lowest deaths in the lobby for the most part. You're doing a good job of being there, but you're lacking in terms of actually securing like carry value. So that's a lot of what we're going to talk about when your game's over. Is we're going to go more in depth on like what are different ways in which you can actually leave an impact in carrying your games. So we're going to go over a lot of different tips and techniques and things like that of how you can get more value.
Oh, and one more question. I don't know how to use the Widow E.
You can place
Yeah.
right now. You can probably just chuck it straight into their spawn. Like just give you some sight lines on when people are coming out of spawn. A lot of times you just want it to get it in on them.
Oh, that's terrible. That's terrible.
All good.
Yeah.
I would only you can put it on top of yourself if they have like flankers, like Tracer or Genji. Other than that, you can pretty much just chuck it at the enemy because then you get sight lines on where people are gonna be. Right, you'll have like walls, temporary walls on them and whatnot. So just kind of use it at cooldown and chuck it at them. So now you can see like the Widow, for example, here, right?
Oh, I didn't even see her scope in there.
Be more patient. Line up when you had that like that Sonic on her, right? When you could see her through the walls. Take your time to wait for her to like stand still, line up your shot, and then peek. But by like peeking and shooting at somebody else, you kind of just open up for for her to know where you're at.
Yeah.
Prioritize the Widow first because she's gonna be your biggest threat here.
It's probably up top there though with the fucking. I think I probably should switch off Widow.
Let's go. Peek for heals.
That's not.
Personne n'échappe à mon regard.
I'm just lost right now. I don't know why I keep missing them. That's it.
All good.
I'm trolling so hard right now. Oh.
Did you have any warm up before the session?
No, but I feel like it's a little bit because of the delay. I feel like there's a delay right now.
Mm-hmm.
Because my aim is it's like gold level right now.
Come get healed.
We'll just watch a replay next game. See if
Okay.
it gets any better.
Sounds good.
Like right there on my screen, it looked like it just like basically went through the wall. That's really bad for me.
Still got some fight in me.
Oh.
Hatched up.
So on positions.
Yep, so just watch cover usage. Gotta be playing probably closer to the corner so that we can just duck behind it instead of having to sprint for it.
Heals coming up. I've got you in my sights.
Yeah, bro, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm completely lost right now.
It's all good. It happens.
I'm completely lost. I don't know where I am.
I can't get away with this.
Alright.
If I'm still standing, I'm still fighting.
Very nice.
My back's to the wall.
Oh. Didn't realize that was ours.
No one can hide Огонь по готовности!
That's out from there. Alright, so my idea there was to try to save the remote, but I don't think it would have mattered if I did it or not.
Yep. Oh, gotta watch kind of overextending and being too close.
Yeah.
When you're with the soldier mercy, if soldier's being pocketed the whole time, I'd go for the mercy first, unless you you don't have the option to shoot her, or if your teammate's with you shooting at the soldier, things like that. Alright. Well, I'm going to stream, and then we can go over a bunch of different things.
Alright.
Alright. So firstly, let's talk about a bunch of different positioning things. We'll go over those first. What range would you say Soldier's a character is?
Every soldier needs a cause.
Like mid-range.
Yeah, mid-range. So that would be, roughly speaking, about like 15 to 30 meters, basically. But I think you tend to have the tendency to put yourself in positions that are further than that are inching towards the 30 to 40 range or so in games, and that's just not going to usually be very beneficial for you for a lot of different reasons, because of multiple reasons. Firstly, Helix Rocket is a projectile. It's going to be much more difficult to land at distances, so that's one small thing. Additionally, you have fall off damage, so I can do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 shots to headshot from there, and then I come back to 40 meters, and it's going to be 1, 2, 3. Oh, sorry, that was like 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 shots to kill, right? So you have fall off damage, as well as smaller targets to shoot at. That is going to be much harder to hit than this is going to be to hit. So, all of that to say, Soldier is a mid-range character, so play him like he's mid-ranged. Obviously, if the situation calls for it, like if you are like pushing into a fight, or you're backing out of a fight, or you have no other positioning option, then long range is okay, in the same way that you can play Soldier at a close range. It's just not his preference. There's a lot of other characters that do it better than him. So try to play it that like 15 to 30 or so, and keep it closer to that. And then as a small tip, if you weren't aware, that above ping target says you can see the meters, so you can use that as an in-game reference if you're trying to range yourself from people. Make sense?
Yeah, I do want to say though, I think I played a little bit more like far behind because of what I saw, like the lag and stuff.
Gotcha. Well, so you're trying to play safer because of the lag, kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
I, I,
that it does make a little bit of sense, but you're also not gonna be able, even with lag, you're not gonna be able to accomplish anything if you're just
yeah.
kind of tickling people, right?
That's true. That's true.
Right. So more, I guess, helix usage really quickly. This is also the kind of range dependent. Generally speaking, if you're within 20 meters, helix is usually best used as a finisher because we can just burst people down very quickly using it. But once you get past that range, it usually doesn't work as good for finishing. It usually is best used as an opener instead, because if we try to use it as a finisher, it just has so much delay, as well as it's gonna be less accurate at ranges. So it usually works best to fire it first, and then you can kind of follow up all with it at the same time.
Yeah.
So it's usually best for ranging. Now let's talk about more positioning. So on top of being closer is going to help you a lot with landing more shots and being more accurate and getting better kills. Another big thing I was noticing was that you would kind of have a tendency
Low
to
ground.
like low ground front line in a lot of cases. So take high grounds more frequently, right? That's going to be really good because high grounds give you a lot of visibility, a lot of survivability, but then you don't want to take high grounds when it's like too far away, because there was a case where like we took high ground but it's like all the way back here, in which case probably just want to get to either a different high ground or get to a closer positioning where you can get to them, but then not just that's not the only thing. If this is the enemy team and this is your team and you're just trying to come in through this angle right here, if you're just front lining, firstly sometimes you just get a little too close, and then that would be like you running in on top of the Zarya, which firstly that's a little dangerous.
I think I do that a lot, and I know I do it, but I still continue to do it as well. It's like a bad habit I have.
Yeah, so we can talk about breaking bad habits at some point soon here. But what's the alternative? Well, firstly, the alternative to being right here is going to be being further back, being at mid-range. But then also, if we're just sitting here, then we're going to be shooting at the tanks and their shields and just like all the things you don't want to shoot at. Like if you're shooting at the soldier who's being pocketed by Mercy and Mercy's around the corner, well, like what are you going to be able to do? It's going to be much less effective because you're shooting at the wrong targets. So what you can do is, instead of just trying to bash your head down the main angle, is just to take off angles. Doing something like this where you just get to the Mercy really quickly. It's very quick, it's very safe, and that's an off angle. Another example, enemy team, your team, main angle. Instead of being right here, you can just run around up to the high ground really quickly, get around all of their obstacles, straight to the back line. High grounds all usually act as off angles as long as you're above them. And then with soldier, there's a distinction between off angles and flanking. This would be an off angle, like we just discussed, but if we went all the way around, well, then this would be a flank because it's longer and more dangerous. And a character like Soldier can do that. He can go on those because he has speed and survivability, which means he can go on those flanks, especially if you have an ultimate or something like that. But a lot of other characters might not want to if they don't have speed or survivability. So be more flanky with Soldier, go on the off angles, go on the flanks, take high grounds, give yourself better angles to work with, and that will set up your mechanics to actually be able to do things. Does all that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
One thing I feel I'm really bad at is the ults as well. The ults,
Yeah, and with your ult as well, like every single time you ulted, you did it from like behind, like you would do it like when you were just once again ramming your head down the main angle. So you would do it like right here, right in front of the tank. So you'd just be locked onto the tank the whole time with your ultimate. And tanks, by design are the hardest things to kill, not the things you usually want to be shooting at if you have the option. So when you have your ult, go take a quick flank or an off angle with it. Get to an angle where you can actually see things. You'd sometimes use it when you couldn't even really see anything. So if they are all inside or really close to inside, don't ult. Let them all come out in the open, and then once they're all out in the open, right, like you have 1, 2, 3 people out in the open, then you can start to ult, right, and then there's actually people stuck out here, right? That makes sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's talk, I presume you're probably familiar with it. So are you familiar with the term crosshair placement?
Yeah.
Yeah, so just to give you my definition really quickly, crosshair placement is using your brain to help your aim. It's placing your crosshair in the best spot possible to make shots as easy as possible. And the first major step to this is generally aiming head level, because when you're aiming body level, you're naturally hitting body shots, and there's a lot of adjustment to hit headshots. In Overwatch, headshots generally do 2 times damage. I think it's the difference between 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 shots and 11 shots, right? So 2 times damage approximately, and that's just a lot of extra value if we're landing headshots. And if we're aiming at head level, there's a lot less adjustment. If we're doing our business and we're just going about our, regular stuff, we're shooting down corridors, shooting into shields, shooting into people, and you're aiming down there, you naturally hit body shots. But if we adjust up and we just aim here, then we're just naturally going to be hitting headshots looking in the same places. And then you also want to pre-aim, aim where you know people are going to be. So the same way you want to look up on a torb and down on a tank, you can look down on people on slopes, picking this corner, already aiming at head level, so we're just very easily hitting headshots. Pretty much just setting yourself up for success for more shots available. And then finally within that, just remembering that even when you're ulting, still look for headshots. And there are a lot of situations where we'd come into fights and we're just like kind of looking down, down at people's stomachs. When using our ultimate, we just kind of like be looking like here on people.
Yeah.
Aiming at head level so you can get those headshots and stuff like that.
I think I'm used to the old update where it didn't matter, and I just killed wherever I wanted to.
Exactly. Yep. Because the other benefit of that, as well as hitting headshots, is that when your ult runs out, you'll already be aiming for continued damage as well. That's another thing. All right. Let's see. Is there anything else? Well, we talked about ults. We talked about helix positioning, headshots. I feel like that's probably a little bit of it for the moment. Target priority we kind of touched on, but let's go in depth on really quickly. Target priority, right? Generally speaking, target priority is you want to shoot at the easiest targets to kill, not the hardest targets to kill, right? Because they will actually die instead. The hardest targets to kill by default are going to be tanks with 2 to 3 times the health of other characters, shields, tanking abilities, armor. Overall, you probably don't want to be shooting at tanks. Now, that's not to say you never shoot at tanks. You can shoot at them if they're low, if they're out of position, if they're the only thing you can shoot at, then go for it. But if you have equal opportunity, such as you see a Reinhardt here and a Mercy over there, you go for the Mercy because Mercy is just going to be so much easier. Or if you have the option, you go and actively seek out the easier target, like with off angles and flanks and whatnot. Now, that's the basics right there. But there's also, even among the DPS and all the squishies here, there's still a hierarchy as well. Like who's going to be easier to kill, like a Tracer or Zen. Zen, right? Or who's gonna be easier to kill, Hanzo or Lucio?
Hanzo,
right? So
I would say.
Yep, you're right. So, so there is a hierarchy even among those other characters, right? Where you might have opportunities to kill the harder characters and go for it if that's the case. But if you have the option available, go for the easier ones. So in your last game, who were the 2 characters that you'd end up shooting at a lot? Who were probably the hardest things to kill?
I would say I shot most at the tank and the life weaver.
Tank and
or the soldier.
Yeah, or the soldier who's being pocketed by Mercy, right? That's what I was thinking of, right? Soldier by himself, not too bad, right? He's pretty easy, but once he starts getting pocketed, right?
Yeah.
then he's a lot harder. And then a lot of the game was just spent shooting at him, whereas the, Mercy or the Life Weaver might have just been a lot easier of targets to go for. Makes sense?
Yeah, it makes sense.
Alright, cool. Let's talk about application really quickly, and then we'll hop into a replay. Because like you said, I think some of this stuff is maybe you might already know, but it's just difficult to put into action, difficult to apply it as you're going. You're going to be able to put this stuff into action really the same way you work on anything, and that is that while you're playing, you want to make sure that you're actively focusing on the things you're trying to work on. That means that you're not going to autopilot, you're not going to just play to play, and contrary to popular belief, you're not going to just play to win, but you're going to play to improve. Right?
Yeah.
And what that will look like, right, in your gameplay is you're going to pick something out, like, let's say, for example, positioning, and you're going to think to yourself while you're playing, positioning, cover, high grounds, off angles, flanks, range, right? And when you give yourself a constant stream of reminders to think about your positioning, you're probably going to have some better positioning than you would otherwise.
Yeah.
And when you do that for a long enough period of time, it forms it as a habit, and then once it forms as a habit, then you can move on to something else to work on. And final thing is just don't overwhelm yourself. Don't try to do everything all at the same time, because that gets overwhelming. So instead, pick one category, or if one category is too much, 1 to 3 smaller things within a category. Does that all make sense? Any questions on it?
No, it makes sense.
Alright, cool. Do you have a replay you want to go over?
Yeah, I have a question as well. Because I feel it's like the keyboard mechanics. I feel like I'm really bad at.
In terms of
Just, yeah, in terms of just movement and just using my fingers. I feel like it's really like clunky.
Honestly, I think that I would, at least if I was just going off of that one game, I would tend to disagree with you. And what's interesting is that sometimes the things we think we're the worst at, we are intentional with the most, and then those tend to be the things we're actually pretty good at. Because like we just talked about, when you're focusing on things, you tend to be better. So if you've been going this whole time thinking, oh, I'm bad at movement, and then you're thinking about your movement all the time, well, your movement's actually going to be pretty decent because you're thinking about it all the time. And I think that in that last game, you're actually really good with your better than I would say the average Masters player at just movement and maneuvering around the map. I think there are a lot of other problems that you struggled with besides just movement. I thought you were really good at using your sprint and avoiding enemy fire. I think a lot of it came down to more so positional aspects and mechanical aspects than I would say keyboard problems, because I think you were really good with your WASD and running around and whatnot.
Yeah, I guess it makes sense. But I feel like every game I played, like I'm conscious about my because I don't feel like I'm pressing it good enough or something. Yeah, it doesn't make sense when I say it loud, but it's like it feels weird to me. Like sometimes I just go completely different way. I feel like I'm moving bad.
Yeah, which that could be the case. I think that I would say that's probably going to come with time and comfortability with playing the game. It'll just come more naturally. I can't really give specific advice if I haven't seen your bad movement, just because I can't really coach what I don't know is the issue.
Yeah, that's true.
So
But you have I'm sorry, you can just continue.
No, yeah, all good. I mean, I could theoretically give you general movement advice about 80 strafing and things like that, but honestly, I just wouldn't think too hard about it. I think that there's probably other, for the moment, I'd say there's probably, from what I've seen at least, that there's other things that are bigger issues than just how you're moving at the moment, and that if you're focusing on other things, then you won't be so worried about, you know, what your fingers are doing.
All right. Yeah. Makes sense. How do you wanna see the replays? Do
You
I go
can
through them with my screen,
you
or
can
do
you
you
can
wanna?
share the code with me, and then I can go through them.
All right. How do I share the code? I've never done
Click
that.
click on the one
Do
you
game
want to share.
reports?
No, just
I'll just.
go back and click on the one that you want to share.
Yeah.
Just click it, and then it should, or don't. Is it? Did you already click it?
Yeah.
It should bring up a share button if you click it, but I'm not seeing that.
Yeah.
Um,
Me neither. I've never used that before, so
double clicking it usually goes into it, but you're not just hovering, you're clicking, right?
yeah, I'm clicking it.
Oh, you're on game port reports. Go to replays.
Oh,
There we go. Now
Yeah.
click one on one.
where is it? All right, I'll take the one
Yeah,
I lost.
and then there's share. There you go.
This one I felt like was really close, so. But I feel like I didn't play as good, so it probably is good to. The best you can see, I have at least.
Gotcha. Yeah, best games are usually games where you felt you played averagely and that they were competitive, so it wasn't just like a roll on either side.
Because on a roll, everyone can look good.
Yeah, exactly.
I did one mistake though. I've never played Pharah like in my life, and I went Pharah in this game, so it's gonna hurt to see.
Gotcha.
It's gonna be painful.
Do you are you cool with going over Widow here, or did you want us go to Soldier, or?
No, I want some coaching on Widow as well, so
Alright,
might
sounds
as well
good.
just.
That works.
I feel like positioning on Widow is the worst.
Okay, very nice. Okay, good solid shots, good solid positioning so far. Very minor thing would just be like use your E off cooldown, so just like, you know, go chuck it down on like the top
Yeah.
right by those turrets or something like that, or chuck it down.
Yeah.
You know?
I feel like some games I just never use it.
Yeah.
It's like
It's on. Oh, very nice shot. Honestly, it's not like it's not the end of the world, but it's just gonna get you passive value if you just like spam it out there. So just use it off cooldown. Anytime you're not actively shooting at anything, just chuck it somewhere.
Yeah.
Generally, like I said, generally into them or on a flank or something like that. You can put it on top of
Yeah.
yourself or on a flank if they have flanky characters.
Yeah, because that's the only time I use it is when I'm scared to get flanked, so I can know if they come.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Very nice shots. Very good aim. This is another thing I was gonna ask. Do you typically warm up before your games?
Yeah, I need to warm up for like 30 minutes or.
What do you typically do for warm ups?
I do a little bit like 15 minutes aim lab, and the rest is just in game, just playing some Widow stuff or FFA.
Okay,
yeah.
gotcha. Yeah, that sounds like a good warm up to me. You know, if you 30 minutes might even be more like a, you know, just practice, even past warm up. You might not need a full 30 minutes for a warm up every time, but that does sound to me like a really good warm up routine. Just, you know, mix it up, don't keep it stale. Be intentional with it. But yeah, that's a good idea to do that consistently.
I have like really low sense as well. I think I have it on like 3.3 and 800 DPI.
Gotcha.
So I feel like I have to warm up my arm movements.
Yeah. Mhm. Okay. Probably a little bit early of a sight, right? Like we're using this kind of in between fights right now when there's not really too many people to be shooting at. So it might be better closer to this, like at the start of a fight where like it's going to be more useful to like for your teammates, for yourself, when there's actually people around to shoot at, things like that. So generally speaking, across most ults, start of the fight is best. In between fights is very rare. Do you want to use them in between fights? So here, like, if you now that you know they're on Genji and Monkey and Junkrat, you can be placing your mines by on top of yourself or on the high grounds, so that when they come up to the high ground, it's just extra pressure. Like imagine Genji, if you have him ticking with mine damage, he'll be dying like twice as fast when you SMG him. So you'll be able to pressure him off of you sooner, which will make it more likely for you to actually survive or even kill him.
But we can skip the Pharah when I'm playing her, by the way.
Gotcha.
I feel like it's something I need to learn.
Very nice.
I truly feel alive.
Yeah, in this game your mechanics look a lot more solid already, which just might be the difference between warming up and not warming up.
I feel like it was the lag actually.
The lag, okay.
Because
Yep.
yeah,
Yep, which is fair enough. That can mess with you.
which is weird because my ping and FPS was like solid. So I don't know why. Like
That's
tried restarted my PC as well.
Maybe
So.
because you were streaming, I'm not sure.
Yeah, but it was before that as well.
Okay.
Before I was streaming, I was like 1 hour trying to fix it, but I couldn't.
Okay. Kinda going solid for the moment.
Let them up.
No one can hide.
Okay, so this is better timing for your ult. Very nice. Good job.
That melody.
Yep. Very nice. Honestly, going really well right now. Only thing would just be mine, and that's it. Everything else is going very smooth for the moment, but they probably with 18 minutes on the clock, I imagine they probably cap here. So we'll see what
I
happens.
truly feel alive.
Nice pick.
Now you fight.
Whew, very nice.
30 seconds remaining.
I think they were just standing still at this moment. I don't know what they were doing, but I think they got it here as well.
Yeah, so what happens? Over here, one small, very minor thing is that we end up not reloading here when we have 10 ammo, which just means that when we do start shooting at Genji, we don't have any ammo. So that's just a minor thing. Is reload anytime there's a lull in time. There's nothing to do. Maybe a tad bit slow in noticing the Genji.
Yeah.
Kind of headshot ourselves there.
I think you can just skip ahead. I don't even want to see this. I played it too much. I played it like too much of the game as well until I switched. I didn't want to switch because I had my ult, so I don't know what I'm supposed to do if I have my ult. Should I just try to use it, or?
It's kind of just depends on the scenario. If it also depends on the power level of your ultimate and what the enemy team, what the reason you want to swap is. If the reason why you want to swap is super important, like you're being hard countered, then you might not even find an opportunity. Like let's say you wanted to swap Pharah because they went McCree and Soldier and you felt super pressured. Well, you might not even get a chance to use your ult, so it might just be worth swapping and just having adding that 25%, you know, to your next ult, and just deal with it, because you know you're just gonna be on a better character for the situation, and it'll just be overall better. If it's like a super high powered ultimate, like let's say you're playing like Zarya, or on DPS maybe you have like Blade or something like that, then it might be like a little bit different, where you might want to just use it and then swap. It really kind of just depends on the scenario. Are they hard countering you? Do you need to swap to hard counter someone? How valuable is your ultimate? Are you going to be able to actually use it? Do you have a combo that you can use it with? Things like that. So a lot of just things to consider.
Yeah. I guess. Yeah, I'm lost. I feel like I have some moments where I'm just completely lost. I'm just going on autopilots.
Yep. And once again, having things that you're focusing on is the anti-autopilot. If you're actively focusing and thinking about things, then that's the opposite of autopiloting.
You can skip this as well, because I don't think I'll do anything with it. So skip the soldier again.
Yeah, guys, so we run up, we duel the Bastion, right? Rather than just sprinting into a Bastion, might be a good idea to use cover, right? So duel the Bastion just from the comfort of your corner, where you can go pew 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 pew, and then now Bastion can't see you, right? So use cover to your advantage. Good positioning is the usage of cover, whereas bad positioning is the absence of cover.
Yeah, now as you say it, yeah, I see it 100%.
All good, all good.
I feel like the whole first round I was really like apart from my team as well. Like when nothing's happening, I feel like I should try to make something happen, and that ends up bad sometimes.
Okay, so firstly we kind of gave up the ability to go to high ground before when we jumped off that pedal platform earlier. Here you're shooting at the McCree, you get him low, and you kind of just like stop looking at him, right? Like you get him to like, you know, 50 HP, and then you have 7 ammo left too, and then you kind of just like kind of dip out and stop looking at him. So possibly could have even killed him there. Oh, there we go. We just kind of look away for a little bit. Alright, let's start to do a wrap up and review and go over the main points of the session and whatnot. So, when you are playing, ability usage, sprint, very good usage, health pack, very good usage, helix, watch your range, 20 meters and closer is finisher, 20 meters and further is opener, generally speaking. But overall, abilities was like a low priority for you to work on. Honestly, not very much. Wasn't that big of a deal. Visor usage, make sure you're going for headshots. Make sure that you're putting yourself in better positions to use your visor. A lot of times you're just kind of ramming your head down main. Also, with abilities in general, use ults at the start of fights, not in between fights. And that's probably about it. Visor, use it when you can actually see people in front of you. Overall, this one was like more of a medium priority for you to work on, but also I think a lot of your visor usage would be fixed if you were having a little bit better positioning as well, right? So a lot of visor problems came from positioning problems. So then, therefore, positioning probably comes as the higher priority. Next comes mechanics. Mechanics, a lot better in that second game, but maintain crosshair placement in all your games, aim head level, aim where you know people are going to be, target priority, right? Shoot at the easiest things to kill, not the hardest things to kill, like the soldier in the Zarya and things like that. Shoot at the easier things. And overall, that probably goes to like a medium priority. I'd probably say, or even a low, like, yeah, probably the bigger thing being the target priority within that.
Yeah.
Next comes your positioning. Make sure that you're watching your range. 15 to 30 meters, right, is your rough soldier range. Make sure to respect it and stay inside of it. Use cover. Good positioning is usage of cover. Bad positioning is the absence of cover. Take high grounds, take off angles, take flanks. All of this is going to set you up for actually getting value and getting kills, and staying alive in the process. Whereas, like you said, in your other game you're in, and like I was saying earlier, it kind of just looks like sometimes you're existing rather than carrying yourself, right? And this is going to be something that helps, and it's going to set you up with your ultimates as well. So overall, that one comes in as like the medium high to high or something like that. And then finally, awareness. Pay attention to where is your team at? Where is the enemy team at? Watch your health bar. Request healing when you're low. I didn't really see you do that too much, so just as a reminder, that shows your supports where you're at and gives them that audio cue to work with. Then besides that, just pay attention to your surroundings. Don't let people sneak up on you, like the soldier during first fight of the of the session and things like that. Overall though, this is probably lower end of a medium. So put that all in order. Number 1 goes to positioning. Number 2 probably goes to your, I would say, mechanics next. Primarily the target priority. Then probably your ult usage, but your ult usage will largely be worked on with your positioning. So we could even say like positioning / ult usage, really. But then that's also just really big, so just think of it as positioning. 4 is going to be your awareness, and 5 is abilities, which honestly not really too much of abilities. Wouldn't worry about it. Any final questions?
You have some quick about my widow as well? Just like something I can improve in that as well, or is it just the same?
It's a lot of the same. Venom Mine, just chuck in Venom Mine. I didn't see any problems with your grapple. Just get your Venom Mine in doing things. Ult usage, just make sure you're using it during fights, not before fights. Those are some things that you could be working on. In that session, I saw much better mechanics, but keep in mind, even on Widow target priority, you're not going to be flanking on Widowmaker or anything like that. When you're up against other Widowmakers, take much small. You're going to be positioning differently. Team comp dictates playstyle. When you're up against people who can't contest you at a range, you take wide open sight lines, so you can just see everything and shoot everything. If you're dueling a Widowmaker, make her your priority, kill her first, take narrow sight lines so that you can kind of get the jump on her, because like I'd say good like 65% of Widow duels are decided by which Widow sees the enemy Widowmaker first, right?
So I should just first pick. I should go for Widow, right?
Yeah, for the most part, that would be your target priority. Firstly, because she's gonna be the easiest thing for you to kill. Also, because she's the highest value thing for you to kill, because she's gonna be your biggest threat. So you can take her out of your way and just get her out of the way first, and then you can move on from there. But if you start shooting at everything else, and that shows her where you're at, makes it easier for her to shoot you, and you kind of just put yourself at a disadvantage in the duel. So I'd just be careful not to start just shooting at things willy-nilly, unless you have the opportunity for it.
I think the first game was a little bit skiffed though, because I think my aim is one of my best things in the game. No, not like players, but like of my traits. Like I think my aim is the best I have. So gotcha. I kind of feel like I just I don't know what happened to the first game. I just look away from that. Yeah. Do you have any tips on self-improvement, like VOD reviewing or something?
Yeah, well, when it comes to self-improvement, the main thing is that you want to be focusing on your mistakes. That's how I coach and how I climbed from silver to top 50, top 100, was I looked at what am I doing wrong. Like for example, deaths, right? I looked at my deaths, but I
Yeah.
didn't just stop there. I didn't just stop the session with, oh, you died too much, don't die.
Yeah.
But you think about, well, why did I? What's the issue within the mistake? Why did I die? I was out
Yeah.
of position, right? So then you look for the solution. Well, if you're out of position, if you're too far forwards, pull further back. If you're out in the open, go use cover. And then application is the focus part we were talking about. So look for those things. You can do that in game or out of game. So replays are really good. Just look for those things like I just talked about. Or you can do it
Yeah.
like when you're in between fights and rounds and things like that in a game. That makes sense?
Yeah.
Right? Well,
Yeah.
let me stop the recording. And then let's see.